easy for us, but we are not measured as good individuals who, when things are going well for us, then we engage in a positive way. Our goodness will resonate when we are individuals who, even when we are falling on our face, we know how to get back on our feet, and we are still doing everything that we are supposed to do. The last year and a half has been a very, very interesting year in terms of the perceptions that we have seen very vocally verbalize themselves, the actions taken against Muslims. In my part of the country, in New York City especially, most assuredly you all have seen the kind of things, the stories that have come out in the media from last Ramadan until the end of the year around the election time, on how people really perceived us to be as Muslims. And we couldn't really do anything about it. We didn't have in place the mechanisms, we didn't have in place the processes, we didn't have the ability to own our own narrative, and everyone else was telling the world what we were, and most assuredly it's not what we are. Are we a violent people? Are we people who are radicalized in our thought? Do we push ourselves to the extreme to such an extent that we would say that violence is the source of how we would find solutions to our problems? The majority of us, not only the majority of us, but the gross majority of us are not these things. But yet the normative understanding of Islam is that it has been equated to be something that is radical. That you and I, who are not of this ilk, we would be known as the exception rather than the norm, because we don't profess an extremist thought. But it's because others are telling our story and we are not telling it ourselves. We still live in a dynamic where we have not shown the world why our being Muslim is not just something we do for an individual reason, but this world is thirsting to have answers, and questions are not being answered on why Islam is the way that it is, and how our being Muslim, you and I, brings a benefit to them. And so lessons learned are things that we should share for our own benefit. You have a beautiful center here, you have a beautiful masjid here, and may Allah Azza wa Jal grant you success in all of your endeavors and give you more success on every tomorrow that you're blessed to be in this world, and make your most successful day the day that you stand in front of Him and He takes you into account for your deeds and actions. But there has to be a certain air of foresight into the work that we do so that we can see it last long beyond ourselves. How is it that we are 10 years removed from one of the most atrocious attacks on this country, and still the majority of this country has never spoken to a Muslim in their life? How is it that we are still in a place where people believe we are oppressive to our women, that we are inherently violent, that we deprive people of their educational rights, that we support domestic violence and we support female genital mutilation, that we force our children into marriages, that we do all kinds of things that are outside of the fold of our faith? For starters, we have to start to look at how we are in fact communicating to people. Not just through our words and through our rhetoric, but through our actions and our deeds. Are we really understanding how communication can be done effectively? When the Prophet ﷺ passes away, the entire Muslim community is thrown into a frenzy. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anh, he stands with his sword and sheath, challenging the people, saying, "I dare you to tell them my Prophet is dead." Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anh, he sits on the ground, silent, pacified, not knowing what to do. And in the midst of all of this now, the people have to make a decision as to how they will elect and choose leadership. The Madinese, the people of the Ansar, the people of Medina, they want somebody from Medina to be in charge of the Muslim community. A man by the name of Sa'd ibn Ubadah, who is a companion that you and I probably know, they want him to be the caliph. There are more of us than there are of the Meccans. We took the Prophet in when nobody else would have him. Why should the leadership come from the Quraysh and not from us? Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he hears of this, he goes to the place where the Madinese are meeting. He has an expectation that he will engage and speak to them and tell them why this is something that's problematic, and